morning, everybody, and welcome to Friday Morning Meditation Seminar. And let's do what we always do. We'll suspend our mind just a teeny bit. So like gazing, inside. Suspend our mind. Free ourselves from being located in mind alone. And be free of this awareness to become aware of its own self. Written Dzogchen tradition they call Rigpa. Of course, there's no one way of doing it. It's sort of like raising your forefinger. Exactly how I do that, I don't know. But I experimented as a baby. So we're sort of like little babies, beginners, experimenting with suspending our mind just a bit. And becoming aware of awareness itself. One of the great European philosophers, Husserl, would say, what is the wonder of all wonders? Pure awareness. And the doorway is our own subjectivity. That's our little doorway, in the beginning at least. And of course, even as we try this, we'll hear all sorts of seemingly distractions like sounds and this and that. But in this frame, we integrate everything. Everything is like food. We bring it into ourselves. Hear that sound? We take it right in. It's not a distraction. It's the opposite. We pull it in. It's like magnetization. We take it in, bringing it in. And paradoxically, as we bring it in, we actually start to experience that awareness becoming more alive, more vibrant, more filled. And then it starts to rise within us. Self-arising. And then, as we feel that presence becoming manifest within us, and we're in it, we enter in it, we can then use our power of extension. Doji Rinpoche, great Dzogchen master, would say extension is the secret. So then we'll extend or expand that awareness, that spaciousness, that light, that energy, that openness, that great affection through our bodies, extending down into the earth, then up the heart, palate of the mouth, top of head, fingertips. We expand that awareness, which is a field. Extend the energy. So awareness itself awakens its own self, Perhaps you're feeling that right now as we do this. Then having established ourselves in this awareness just a bit, not perfectly, we then embody it Most of this entire unfolding has to do with the embodiment of awareness, the embodiment of the energy, the embodiment of the light, the embodiment of this knowingness, just as we are. So it's really not a self-improvement game, just as we are. Then we take the next step of this place that we are, and we extend this awareness into this situation. We're always in a situation, always in situations, one after another. So with that, we'll extend to the immediacy of the situation, extending this field of awareness beyond our body boundaries, and we extend to each other, because that's our situation right now. Let's do that. And it's inside to inside, direct. I mean, our friends on the internet, they extend to us, and we extend to them, and the sense of the field arises like water. We'll do that now. And if you actually really think that you have to be special to do this, a better person, then you're stuck. So you really want to free yourself that this is totally ordinary, totally natural. It's in everybody's hand and pocket. So we'll extend again to each other. So now the field, this awareness, is not simply within our bodies, but we're in it. It's in front of us, on top of us, around us, like a sphere, S-P-H-E-R-E. And it's alive, it pulsates. And having established ourselves in the immediacy of the situation, in this field of awareness, this Rigpa, will then extend to our ancestors, the generational field, the mothers and the fathers of the mothers and the fathers, of which we're simply expressions. So extend to them in mutual support. And when you're in awareness, it's just a thin, tiny little veil between this dimension and the next, the other. In mind alone, impossible abyss. It's that direct. So let's extend now. With each extension, the field gets support. Bigger is better. And then we'll extend to the great teachers and yogis that we've all been fortunate to know in all the different traditions, the gurus. And last week, we did not have a little meditation seminar, but it was actually a great week in terms of our teachers. Monday was the celebration of the day that Swami Muktananda, our root teacher from the Shaivite tradition, received Shaktipat from Bhagavan Nityananda, his teacher. This awakening, this transference, the transmission of energy. And then on Thursday was the 3-year anniversary of Lama Torchen's death, our great teacher of Dzogchen. So with that understanding, we'll extend to them. Inside to inside, directly. We understand that the Guru is the light of our own awareness. All these words, Guru, Shiva, Buddha, are simply metaphors for the light, the energy of this awareness that manifests everything and anything. including us, including our own personal awareness, our own self. And then we'll extend to all the different traditions and lineages we participate in. The traditions themselves are bodies of knowledge, information, and light, articulated over the centuries. And nowadays, with information being so easy and geography being so tiny, we can belong to many. And so, the tribal boundaries thin and become universal people. Let's extend. And then we'll do one more of these extensions of awareness, this light. And we'll extend to that dimension of our own awareness, which is called Sambhogakaya. It's the archetypical dimension, huh? It's the dimension of the energies and the elements that become this world and all the worlds. But it's prior to that, like the manifestation, huh? Becomes the deities and devas. And with that, we'll extend this morning to the Dakini, the feminine dimension of knowingness. And we'll just sit for a few moments. As all the yogis teach, like Padmasambhava and others, whatever, is the attunement, the basic attunement to this field in everything and anything in the circumstances of our life is the path of self-liberation. So in light of the last week and referencing to the great teachers we've had, I'm going to talk a little bit this morning about Padmasambhava. And Padmasambhava is the tanka right above us here. And Padmasambhava was a person, 9th century Tibet. Wasn't from Tibet. And actually, like many of these great yogis, there's some person somewhere who embodied the light, embodied this energy, and functioned and carried out this function. But there are also a lot of the story, the narrative, is fictional. And I don't mean fictional in the poor sense, or mythological in the weak sense of that word, but rather mythologies and fictions that symbolically bring forth and make explicit the qualities of primordial awareness lived in a particular person. Huh? They're like novels. Huh? And we enter this novel and we experience that which is being signified. So Padmasambhava didn't know exactly where he came from, but he brought Dzogchen, certain forms of Dzogchen, this awareness of awareness, understanding, into Tibet. It was also there too with the Bon tradition. And his name itself symbolized living within this world without being enslaved by its vicissitudes, without being captured by the contained mind alone. You've had that experience once or twice, huh? Contained mind alone. I have. And also containing circumstances. He lived within the space of freedom, and the space of freedom and actions within the events and times of the 9th century. Many of his views were Gnostic views, meaning views of direct perception and views of the light, which weren't necessarily at all completely part of Buddhism at that time. Huh? Radiance, luminosity. And he understood in his writings, in his teachings, that all human beings were light. Beings of light. And that there we are, great. We'll have to go back into awareness. We'll do that for a moment. That is the process of awareness, isn't it? You're in, then you're out, and slowly but surely, we integrate our minds into this awareness. And as we integrate our minds into this awareness, then we can actually begin to live within awareness. So first we all experience awareness by suspending our mind. And once we established ourselves in awareness, we begin to integrate our mind into this awareness. And that is the primary union that allows us in our life to experience duality within non-duality and non-duality within duality, which was also one of the great understandings of Padmasambhava. Huh? Up to Padmasambhava's time, there was an attempt to try and foreclose duality. Huh? Duality itself is simply a delusion. You know what I mean? It's really not here. It's a fantasy. And then you run over by a bus. And when systems, philosophies attempt to cut off one side of this paradox of oneness and difference, of duality and non-duality, it's cutting off one of the legs of the vehicle to attain self-liberation in our life. You follow what I'm saying? So Padmasambhava was a master of being in duality within non-duality, and being in non-duality within duality. And he also had this remarkable ability and brought this very central, is the power of invocation. And the power of invocation, meaning invoking and bringing forth this great power of awareness in our life, in the immediacy of situations and circumstances. And that the power of invocation was also the power of being able to bring forth and invoke in our own self in our own circumstances, the archetypical dimension, the Sambhogakaya dimension, the primordial energies and the primordial powers of awareness itself. And they're often symbolized as the deities, just like the deity of the guru is an archetypical energy, a quality of awareness itself, that it reveals to us the self-revealing power of awareness, our own nature, in every circumstance and in every experience. We'll bring that sound in too. A chirping bird. So the power of invocation, as Dujul Rinpoche talks about it, the power of invoking the Lama, the power of invoking the Guru, is not the power of begging for help. It's not the power of begging, because that's not actually a real empowerment, is it? It's the power of owning one's own awareness as the light, as potential space, as this vast strength that's in all of us. And the power of integrating our mind into this dimension. So one of the things Padmasambhava would teach is the power of invocation. And so many of the practices that he brought forth and actually created and brought forth, the Vajrayana tradition with Yeshitogo, his companion, were practices of empowerment, of both dissolving obscurities, bringing forth great energy of vitality in one's self and others, bringing forth blessings. And he understood very directly that the gods and deities and dakinis were not out there, but was right in our own self and our own heart. Though our mind doesn't necessarily know that. And how to bring this forth in yourself for your sake and for others was his primordial teaching. His understanding of detachment was much different than the detachment of the three noble truths, or four noble truths. It was quite different. His capacity to not be captivated by locked-in mind, locked-in circumstances, was the great capacity of experiencing vast space and the great capacity of feeling translucidity. That the very experience of translucidity and the experience of the light and the experience of all this space as different phenomena is coming in, like that irritating sound at this very moment, in the light and the space. We feel everything, we experience everything, but it is not the organizer of our experience. This is not the detachment where you cut yourself off from phenomena, you cut yourself off from the experience of being in this world. And in doing that, when you take that form of detachment, it actually works. You start becoming more and more detached, and as you become more detached, you start having the experience of depersonalization. So the dilemma with detachment, if you really get good at it, or actually if you get really good at it, you then start to feel the loss of the sense of self. This is really clear. And as you start to feel the loss of a self and you start experiencing depersonalization, the final step is then the world starts seeming unreal to you. And that's exactly how a lot of that philosophy is articulated. You get very detached, nothing affects you, and then before you know it, you yourself as personhood starts to disappear. There's no more self. And then you stay with that, and then the world starts to seem unreal. In Padmasambhava, who was totally involved in world, in warfare, in love, in really helping the Tibetan people, it was his liberation of translucidity, of being in this light, in this spaciousness, and experiencing everything that's taking place as light. By being in the light this way, he would describe, not only do you have a freedom of the light, but also the very light itself illuminates the circumstances that you're in. It illuminates character. It illuminates the inner aspects of events. He was known as the master of secrets, because with that light, everything was open. So with that little introduction, I'm going to do a practice this morning in honor of Padmasambhava, who's simply a metaphor for the luminous primordial awareness that we are. This is called the heart essence of the lake-born Vajra, the secret accomplishment of the great Guru, and it's by Dorje Rinpoche. Actually, the Dorje lineage itself, the word Dorje means destroyer of the demons, which was one of Padmasambhava's thing. He had this capacity to undo energies that were destroying the culture and the people. So you guys lean into me, we'll extend to each other, you extend to me, and I'll extend to you. And I would do a better job here. So it begins by taking refuge. Namo. I take refuge in this indestructible, original nature, just as I am, just as it is. So in this tradition of Padmasambhava, this heart essence tradition, one takes refuge in their awareness. Not our mind, but an awareness. That's why knowing the difference between your mind and awareness is really important. And in this sphere, S-P-H-R-E, of the great bindu of clear light, so in this indestructible nature of my own self, unborn, undying, manifesting in time and space as my own self, it is this bindu of light. I am this sphere of light embodying time and space. And in this unchanging, innate, ultimate deity. So the deity is our own awareness in ourself and in others, and especially in its multidimensionality, So to be able to access these different qualities really is an empowering thing. So I take refuge within this self-nature just as it is and as I am at this very moment. Then I seeing through discursive duality the forms of light, so through this reality, this duality, I experience forms of light. And seeing forms, and in this realm of sentient beings, appearances or doorways into the light. So in this realm of sentient beings, appearances, all the appearances are doorways, openings into the light. Ranchik Chen Borambam. So in this, there's one taste of this great self-awareness. There's this equality within all these sentient beings. There's this indivisibleness of light. Just one taste. Rangro Jomjam. I give rise. I. There's an I here. Ahu, aham, I am. I give rise to the bodhicitta, which is the great compassion of all-pervasive self-liberation. So the great compassion, which is Yangtang Rinpoche describes as this capacity to experience this light in awareness, in timeless awareness, and be able to experience it in time simultaneously. Another paradox. Then it goes further with this text of empowerment, of bringing forth this dimension of the Guru. And from, it says, the primordial from this sphere, SPHRE, of this nature of spaciousness, openness, and compassionate radiance. So from this place of this openness, this spaciousness, and this compassionate radiance. So here, in this tradition, they equate compassion with radiance. It's not a sentiment. It's the radiance of the light. There appears, as one's own awareness, the seed syllable Hari. So it arises their own awareness, this syllable Hari, H-R-I, and from which light radiates from. So it arises in the heart. We invoke that vibration, that sound, that word, that mantra. And in that invocation, the light arises in its radiant form. And this light, in its extension, it opens for all the universe and sentient beings, the clear light. So through the power of the light itself, it opens the light for us. This clear light, this luminosity. So all objective appearances, or Dechen Padma. It's a very strange statement here. It says, all appearances are the Guru. I remember years ago when Swami Muktananda would say, wherever I go, I see the Guru. I could never understand it. Wherever he went, did he see this tall, plump, fat Guru? That's what he mean. Wherever I go, I see the Guru. Same statement here. Whatever circumstance, whatever realm, whatever event, that's the Guru. That's the Guru. And in the center of this perfect palace, with all its characteristics, and it's so great that in these Tibetan texts, they're always describing the world and ourselves as the perfect palace. So we're in a palace, and simultaneously it's a charnel ground, a burial ground. It's both sides again. Total beauty, and then this charnel ground. And in those days, the charnel grounds, they would just take bodies and throw them there and let the animals eat them. So in this perfect balance is this lotus, the light of the lotus, meaning this light that's liberating, translucidity. And also the light of the sun. And the light of the sun is this brilliant light. It's like fire that cuts through obscurations in ourself and situations. And also the light of the moon, which is this soft light. And the syllable Hri instantly again transforms into self-nature, the immortal Toktrale. That's another name for Padmasambhava, the immortal light. So this metaphor begins to experience this light. And as you and I can experience this light, the fear of death dissolves. It's described as unborn, undying, the light. Vajrakamara. And to experience that timeless light, then the fear of annihilation begins to dissolve. Then he's going to go through a description of the Guru. Now this description is not for identification purposes. It's not that you have to look like this. And sometimes people get very distracted with having these identifications in their mind, and they do all kinds of visualizations in their mind. And it's not the same thing as the felt sense of the qualities that are being described. So you don't have to visualize. For some who are artists, the visualizations come naturally out of the felt sense. And that's useful, but it's arising out of yourself. This is not a cognitive behavioral technique, So he's now going to make a description. This rose, this light rose, luminous complexion. So it's feeling this rose-coloredness, in your own body. Perhaps even the smells, the rose. Youthful. Body is going down the drain, but this youthfulness, vibrantness, ever present, the youthful body of light. Beautiful. The beauty of the state of awareness. Smiling kindly, this kindness, this generosity. And yet, slightly wrathful, fierce, protector, compassionate, and youthfully sensual, the inner sensuousness of the embodiment of the light. And holding in one hand the Vajra, that's that symbol of indestructibleness, and the other a skull cup. And the skull cup symbolizes, often it's filled with blood, meaning the life force, or other times a nectarianness. Holding the indestructibleness and the life force. The life force is like the Shakti or the Chi, the vital energy arising, and being able to invoke it in yourself and for others. And he sits with his two legs crossed, and Mandavara, his companion, who is also his own radiance. So here you're starting to see the description, which is often made in Vajrayana, it's also made in Jung's work, is the integration of the masculine and feminine elements in one's own self. And these metaphors go primarily from the idea of space as the masculine, like Shiva in Hinduism, this great sense of space, and the energy, the radiance as the feminine, huh? And you feel both of those simultaneously in your own body. And you're in union. They're in union with each other, in union within you. And holding an arrow in long life vas. The arrow has many different symbolizations, including the purba, cutting through stuff, obscurations in yourself in situations. And the long life is that you have a life long enough to complete your destiny. And then it goes into clothing. So on one level, you're wearing beautiful silks and precious jewels, very elegante. And at the same time, there are tiger skins and bones and skulls around you. So there's a combination of both this high aesthetic and the primitive energies simultaneously. Do you understand what I mean by that? Holding both. And then delighting within this expanse of being in the world. And there's this garland of rainbow light rays. So this light is coming through this person, through the different chakras, huh? The top of the head, space, ma, blue. White from the forehead, water element. Re, yellow from the throat, the earth element. Ni from the heart, the fire element, huh? Sa, the green element, air. And then simultaneously there's this connection to all the primordial beings as individuals. So all these great beings, they're not simply without individuation, huh? So one of the great understandings that the world is totally the same and yet completely individuated at the same moment. That's what this is referring to. Almost done. Then the text says this. In the heart center, in our heart center, is this tent of light. And in the center of the light is this golden light, huh? The symbol of the Guru, the golden light. And also there's these luminous seed syllables, like Hare, which is this rose white color. And it's encircled by the mantra, Maharinisi Sa, the one I just mentioned. And from this, the light rays radiate forth into the world. So that's really one of the major practices, extending this light into those you know and love, inside to inside, into the person. And as Yangtang Rinpoche suggests, into the person's present, into their past, into their future. And also, if you're generous enough, into those you dislike. And then, with the same light, you extend it to all the victorious ones. We sort of did that in the morning. And we began this. The ancestors, the teachers, the traditions. We extend the light. And as we extend that, blessings come back. And this opens and clears the circumstances of beings and places everyone in bliss. Because bliss overcomes suffering, not detachment. Bliss overcomes suffering. All life, merit, and the essential vitality of samsara nirvana arises as light in the form of nectar, amrita, and this dissolves into our meditative awareness. making it blaze in radiance. In action. As the Shaivites say, knowledge is action. And all that appears is the deity. And all sounds is the mantra. And all thoughts are within this innate nature of truth. And becoming the great play of the bliss of primordial awareness, the play of consciousness, all this manifestation. Oma Hung Vadra Guru Pamasiri Hung, mantra invoking the Guru. And in this great clear light of the appearances of the deities, this manifestation, without concepts, we then rest in the great expanse of this original purity, uncontrived, pure awareness. And again, like the rainbow appearing in the sky, it awakens us as light. And with that, we'll sit quietly for a while. Been cultivating awareness now for about an hour. Let's focus on those we know and love who are having difficulties. And we'll extend the light into them. The light of our own awareness, which is awareness itself. The light of our own awareness is consciousness itself. We'll extend into their present moment. We'll extend into their past. We'll extend into their future. Then let's extend this energy and light into the city, into our city, and all the different cities right now. So in Padmasambhava's teachings, he would try and help evoke that we make that shift from experiencing ourself as our mind alone, our thinking alone, or our sensation alone, or our feelings alone, and making that shift where it is this vast expanse of space, translucidity. Unbound by circumstances, unbound by contained mind alone. Unbound by history. Unbound. With that, we rub our hands together, place it on our hearts. And all these traditions use some form of sealing. And sealing is a way like a mnemonic to remain in awareness throughout the day. So one doesn't really end meditation. One continues entering awareness in the daily drama. Thank you guys for coming. Any announcements, Sharon?
On the 23rd, we will not be here.
The 23rd, that's right. Yeah. September 23rd won't be here. And also, we have some visitors coming. The dates I'm forgetting at this moment. But one person is coming is for the Tiso, who wrote this fantastic book on the body of light in Dzogchen, and as well as in the early Christian mystics, and how the Gnostics, from his studies and also from Gunther, influenced Padmasambhava's understanding and the interaction on the Silk Road between these different groups and the Shaivites also, the Kashmir Shaivites. And the Shambhava Mudra that the Shaivites declare is this direct gaze into the immediacy of a situation, getting the essence. And it's also pretty cool that Padmasambhava's name is Padmasambhava, the same mudra. With that, thank you all so much. But I don't think that's a public statement yet, though. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time. Whenever that is.
Nisa